Okay, I came in this morning at about 6:30 to do the video for the Worm and Wheel, thinking that I was going to have plenty of time, and this one was actually a little bit nerve-wracking. Now, I got it partially assembled, but let's look at where I started and where I'm at right now and why things are set up the way they are. Always make sure that you're going to start with the picture, the laminated sheet, and on that laminated sheet that includes a little bit of a parts list there. Now what I found out is what we had sorted out in the trays. I had someone help me. They did a very good job helping me, but that doesn't mean that you have all the parts that you entirely need. You may need some assistance going through some of the toolboxes to get some different parts, and I'll show you an example as to what I mean by that. Now, what I'm using to hold this worm gear are these little L brackets. Some of the kits are set up with these channels. There's this wide one here, and there's this narrow one as well. But I found out that you need these little L channels. You can adjust the height of the bearings on them to get the correct fit so that the gears mesh together, because that's essentially important for them to operate. Now, you'll notice that my mechanism is way off to the right side on my base plate, so it's almost hard to get it on the camera there. Like I said, I do have it partially assembled. I have this L channel on one side. I've spaced it out with some plastic bearings. There are some spacers, but I found out the spacer was going to be too wide for a precision fit. I have it bolted to the base plate. I kind of based it upon what I was looking at on the laminated sheet. This one on the laminated sheet is really pretty accurate. I did have to reverse flip one of the nuts and bolts around because I couldn't quite get it in after I did some of my pre-assembly there. But let's go ahead and finish this thing and see how it's going to function. Like I said, it's way off to the right, so it's kind of off to the right of your screen. I don't know if I can get a better view there. My handle's going to be kind of going off the screen here. This is where it's going to turn. But let's go ahead and try and finish this. I'm going to try and get my worm gear assembly in first. And looking at this, I need to raise that up a little bit, and it's going to fit pretty good. You want this to fit in between the bearings snugly, if snugly is a word, or real snug. If it doesn't, then the drive shaft is going to flop around a little bit. So I got that all the way to the top of that L channel. Got that tightened up. I need to grab a couple more fasteners. I kind of have a smattering of parts here next to my workstation, but you can't see that. Those go off camera a little bit. So I'll get that in place there, and I'll get that bolted down. Now, I noticed some folks on their mechanisms. I saw one group with the simple gear train. They were not using the plastic bearings. You need to use those plastic bearings for your drive shaft, or your project is going to function very sloppily. That's a word too. Maybe I'm making up words today. But it's just not going to be smooth. And the problem with it not being smooth is once you, when we get to the point where we're setting up motors and sensors, you'll find out that things just kind of fly apart. And that's not good either. So I've got to move this around a little bit. Kind of dexterity gets really challenged on these activities. So you have to get those started. Sometimes it helps if I get the fastener with the star washer in place and then put the machine screw behind it and then try and get it started with a wrench. It can be very frustrating. especially in the morning. All right, we got that snug down. Let me put this back where you can see it a little bit better in the proper orientation. And we're going to check and make sure that that spins real well. I got my little handle here. You're not going to be able to see this when I put it on because it's going to be off the screen a little bit, but you can see with my handle how well I can turn that drive shaft, as long as the handle stays on there. So now we need to set up the wheel gear. And I need to make sure I have all my parts because now I'm missing a drive shaft that I started with. So I will run and grab one of those super fast. Alright, I'm back with a drive shaft. I thought I had one nearby, but apparently I had not. So we're going to place our wheel gear on here and see if we need to do any spacing to get it to line up right. First off, I'm using the wrong size wheel gear. So I got to make sure I have the one from the picture. Happy Monday morning. No, it's Tuesday. Goodness, 3-day weekend. That's why my brain doesn't work. So we'll do just kind of a trial fit here. Now it spins, but you can see it's sliding back too far. So I need to put something in there for a spacer. I'm going to start with a collar. These have those tiny Allen screws in it. And remember, these strip out really easily. And so you want to just snug it up. And then let's fit that in there. And see how close we get. There we go. That is functioning. So let's finish it off with a few more collars. I'll put one on the back. Be a little bit of a trick to get that one snugged up here on the back. But we want to make sure that everything is together and snugged up. We want to make sure there's no play at all. So I got that in the back there. And then I want another collar here in the front. Just snugged up. Get that where you can see it better. All right. So I managed to get this functioning. We got a little slop right there, so let's fine-tune it a little bit. There we go. Let's see what we got. Now notice how fast I am spinning the drive shaft for the worm gear, and notice how slow the wheel gear goes. In an instance like this, the speed is decreased. Input is faster, output is slower. So the speed is decreased. If we decrease the speed, then we increase the torque. T-O-R-Q-U-E. So this would have more pulling force, less speed, increased torque. So you could take a motor that has very high RPMs, revolutions per minute, and you could slow that down so it can do something very powerful. So this is an example of a worm and wheel gear. When you have finished this, you're going to want to take a picture of it with your Chromebook so you have a digital copy of it that will be put into a presentation at the end of this unit when we've built all 8 mechanisms. So until next time, good luck.